Understanding Python functions is essential for understanding how to develop your heuristic algorithms for the course assignments, how to submit your algorithms, and how your algorithms will be scored. So let's talk about Python functions. We're going to start this video by just recalling what a function is, how we define it, and when we'd want to use it. For a very simple scenario or context to do this in, let's first just define a variable x and assign a value of 2 to it. And let's say the only thing we wanted to do here is print out the square of x. So we could do that by using this statement right here, double asterisks to raise x to the power of 2. And I could execute this statement, and in the console the value 4 would be printed out. Now, if I wanted to do this calculation again and again and again, and more particularly at multiple places within my program, I wouldn't want to keep typing out x asterisk asterisk 2. And if I didn't want to do that, I would define a function for it. And some of the reasons why you'd want to do that is so that your definition of this function, x to the second power, was only written in one place. And so if you wanted to change that computation, the formula, in all the places in the program, there would only be one place where you need to do that, which is in a function. Now, this is not a good example of a calculation that you might want to use again and again and again. It's a very simple one just for illustration. But if you did have a more complicated calculation, there would be more cause to want to define a function. And the way you define a function is to use the keyword def for define. And I'm going to define a function whose name is sq, which is short for square of a number. Then I type an open and close parentheses in which I specify the input parameters to the function. And I can make this any variable really I want to. For this case, let's call our input variable y. At the end of my definition for a function, I need a colon. And then indent the next lines so that the Python interpreter will know that every line statement that is indented belongs to this function and should be executed when the function is called. Well, this is going to be a really simple function. All we need to do in one line is just return whatever the input is raised to the second power. So now if I want to print out the square of my variable x, all I need to do is call the function within the print statement, sq, open and close parentheses, and send it the value of x as I've defined it in what I will call line 6 and 7, which is the main program to be executed. Those are the lines that Python is going to automatically execute when it fires up. So let's run this code, and you'll see that indeed I get a value of 4 in the console. So the exact same computation was done, but now I have a function that I can reuse multiple places in my program. And if you were going to use the same computation multiple places, you wouldn't want to redefine it every single time. You would want to define a function. Now I'm going to save this file, and I'm going to call it internal function.py. And I'll note that when you do your heuristic algorithm assignments, you're going to be defining your algorithm within a function similarly to what we've done here with the function sq. Now what I want to do is show you a different way that you can call a function. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file, and this is going to be some Python code, and I am going to call this file square, spelling out square.py. Let me get rid of these automated comment lines. And inside this function, what I'm going to do, or excuse me, inside that file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the function that we've just defined. And I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this external function. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write some code so essentially I can use the sq function, the square function, out of this Python file that I've called square.py. I can import content from square.py by literally importing the file. And the way I'm going to do it is like this. First, I'll type from square. And what that is going to cause Python to do is to look, the way I've set it up, within the same file folder where this program external function.py is, and look for a Python file called square.py, like the one that we just put there. And what I'm next going to ask Python to do is take a look inside that square.py file and look for a function called sq. And so it's going to import the square function, sq function, that we previously defined. And then what I can do is use that square function just like I did in the previous version of this code in the internal function.py file, and call the sq function and give it, let's just give it hard-coded an input of 2. And if I execute this and we look down in the console, you'll see that this accomplishes the same task. Okay, so let's make a couple comments about this. When would you want to take a function, put it in a separate Python file, and store it away? One reason you want to do that is if you have some functions that you're going to use in a lot of different situations. One of the situations that I've created a file like this is for database input and output. Some helper functions that help me get some data in and out of databases using Python. And then I can relocate that Python file to whatever the folder is where I'm writing my code, and I can import it, and I'm off to the races. Another comment to make here is that, again, you will be defining your algorithms within a function, and because you're defining them within a function, that gives me the capability of, with a program that I've written, importing your Python file and then executing your algorithm, getting the result, and quickly and speedily posting it on the course leaderboard in virtually real time. So putting your functions in a different file like this can be a very convenient skill to know how to do.